Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. This show should go out for most of you on June the 10th. Some of you might see it on Friday, June the 9th. As I was thinking about some ideas for today's show, I was kind of reflecting on some thoughts that I had over the last several weeks that maybe what I would do is kind of review some of the big Vegas YouTube channels, some of the folks that you see and hear about who have, 100,000 plus subscribers. And there are some really good ones. I always think it's interesting the way we reflect on some of these folks, the way we look at some of these people as like big time. And they are within the Las Vegas community. But if you really look at it within the YouTube community, 100,000 subs is nothing. Millions of subs for are what it's really all about. So I'm not going to do that today. I might touch on that in some of the weeks to come. But as I was thinking about that idea and thinking about some of the channels to include, I really started reflecting on the whole notion of our Vegas community. And I can't really remember for sure who first started making light of my sort of catchphrase from a few years ago that basically said that it's all about the community. My guess is it probably was Mark Penny's. If you remember it, Mark, let me know. But it's easy to forget that not that many years ago, there were not a whole lot of Vegas related YouTube channels, just a handful. And some of those weren't exclusively Vegas channels. I remember watching this guy. Ever see this Serial Marshmallows guy? He did like a couple of trips to Vegas. He went to Reno. He like owned a bunch of like used car lots and sold a bunch of stuff online. I remember watching some of his videos early on. I remember watching. Who was the sort of German lady who used to do the room reviews? I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But as always, when I start these videos, I can't remember what it was. I was going to mention Jules at top-buffet.com. She was very big on the buffets, but also did a lot of room reviews. Looking back, there were some other channels that were around way back in the day. I think even one of the channels that I was going to talk about potentially today was All You Can Vegas with Derek and Catherine, but they had a personal channel, the Derek and Catherine channel, I guess, that's been around for almost as long as this one. I always looked with some bemusement on the research that my friend Kevin Vegas Visual had done that somehow established that this channel was the first Vegas vlogging channel. Well, I won't really take credit for that. In truth, there were a lot of people who influenced me to actually begin the sort of vlogging piece of it. The fact that the channel's been around for a while is mostly a result of the fact that, well, I've been around for a while. One of the reasons I really started thinking about today's show, the state of the community 2023, was because even as we speak, the one and only Matt Bridger should be arriving in the United States, and he's doing basically a coast-to-coast cross-country tour. Obviously stopping along the way at a number of casinos. It should be a really interesting vlog. Hopefully I'll get around to watching it. I'm going to try. And I say I'm going to try because over the past couple of years, it's become increasingly difficult to keep up with even the people that you really, really enjoy, the people you really, really like who do these Vegas-related vlogs. But Matt was probably the biggest inspiration that I had for actually creating this channel as a sort of personal sort of opportunity to share my thoughts, share my experiences, and share my Vegas trips. I modeled my early vlogs very much after his. I just thought it was very amusing to be fair, Matt's a few years younger than I am. But even though he's had a steady girlfriend for quite some time, single guy, loves Budweiser, comes to Las Vegas, just enjoys hanging out, playing the slots, having a few drinks. Um, so he was a big influence on me to go ahead and get started with what I did. And so I thought, again, with him coming to the United States and doing his sort of cross-country tour, Bridger across America. I don't think he can get a T-shirt anymore because he's now in the U.S. We hope. Matt was like I said, Matt was a huge influence on me. I'd have a couple of his early T-shirts, his work back in the day. A lot of you may or may not know, if you've been watching the channel a long time, I'm sure you do, that Matt asked me to try to compose some sort of little outro piano piece for his channel, and at least until very recently, and I have to confess, I haven't seen a lot of his recent videos. He was continuing to use that little outro. Surprisingly, well, maybe to some of you surprisingly, I've never met Matt. His closest location to me on this next trip would be either St. Louis or southern Oklahoma. I suspect St. Louis might be a little closer, but I'm working, and unfortunately, this isn't going to be the opportunity that I had hoped for to meet Matt. He was in Las Vegas last July when I was there, but I was kind of there under sort of secretive circumstances, as some of you may remember. Had just gotten married, and I was not necessarily focused on doing a lot of meetups or connecting with a lot of Vegas people. But that was my big chance to meet Matt. But yeah, I just. It's been such an adventure, and the most recent couple of Vegas memories shows that I've done kind of bring to mind some of the early touches of community that I began to feel from my Vegas experiences. The things that we worked to visit Vegas, Dave and Michelle. Through them, the fact that I was able to meet Tamara and Gord. Through them, the fact that I was able to meet Andy and Simone. And just, people along the way that I've connected with, ultimately leading to Rocktober, which, again, as I look back on it, was pretty epic, if for no other reason than the number of people that I was able to connect with, people that in some cases are people I'm still talking to on nearly a daily basis. Some of it was YouTube, some of it was the website, some of it was Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be. But at one time, it seemed like, maybe I was wrong, at one time, maybe 5 years ago, even as we were, unfortunately still anticipating what COVID would be, you could kind of imagine that there was just sort of one community. Over in England, you had the Vegas Club. There have obviously been some disagreements among those folks over the years, but that was a pretty big part of the early Vegas community. Again, the stuff that we did with the Vegas Summit and later on Rocktober, that was a huge part of bringing together a lot of folks in the U.S. and Canada in particular. And it did feel like, and maybe it really wasn't the case, that even 4 or 5 years ago, you could pretty much keep up with what all of these people were doing. You could watch all of their vlogs. There really was a community. And I think there still is, but not surprisingly, with the passage of time and the number of different people that have gotten involved doing what we do, it's become more and more difficult to even begin to feel like there's just one massive sort of group of one mind, because that's really not the case. At least I don't think that's the case anymore. And again, it wasn't just the Brits, but there have been some disagreements, some feuds of sorts, I guess you would say, between folks in the U.S., Canada, etc. As much as I always like to say it's all about the community, and the reality is that anytime you get a group of people together, even ones with similar interests, ideas. You're not always going to get along, and not everybody in the Vegas community are people that I love to hang out with. Obviously, again, the people that I talk to on nearly a daily basis, Pennies and PJ and Andy, Kinos, those kinds of people. Those are people that have become very, very close friends. But for every one of those people, there's a half a dozen folks that are doing Vegas vlogs. And I alluded to my friend Kevin, Vegas Visual, for the better part of a year and a half. He did his sort of weekly shows, trying to sort of catalog and keep up with all the people doing this. And I think one of the reasons he stopped was, not the only one, was that it just became overwhelming. The other probably is that it just became kind of boring. But, as any sort of community develops and grows, it's for certain it's going to sort of develop different branches. You're going to have the newer people, the younger people, the older folks. You're going to have just different perspectives. From the very beginning, you had folks that were focused more on gambling, folks that were more focused on restaurants, people focused on hotels, and the sort of general idea of Vegas vlogging has kind of been done. It's, some of you may remember this last September, I kind of sort of tearfully waved goodbye to the traditional Vegas vlog and said that probably wasn't something I was going to do again. Well, I don't know. It's not impossible that it could happen in some form in September when I go back. But I'm not the only one who's kind of felt that way. One of my favorite vloggers, Nikki Firmage, also a Brit, a couple of months ago said, hey, you know what? I've kind of done Vegas. I've kind of done the vlog as much as I can do it. There's not that much new to share. I'm just going to go and enjoy my trip. There will always be Vegas vlogging, just like there are always people vlogging their trips to Disney World or their trips to national parks or, foreign lands. It's never going away. But it's never going to be that little sort of core community it once was either. It's never going to feel like you could get everybody together in one place. The last time I feel like we got even close to that was probably the Kino wedding in March of last year. But I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that again. I just don't think it's possible. Again, keeping in mind, we're a small community. Our YouTube channels are not big time by any means. Even the people that are big time within our community are not really big time. So, what is the state of the community? The state of the community is very strong. We have dozens and dozens of people vlogging about Las Vegas, and every once in a while, even though I don't pay as close of attention as I used to, you see another couple or another individual saying, hey, I'm going to vlog about Vegas. And honest to God, if you just came to this channel and you're thinking, hey, maybe I should check out all this guy's vlogs. No, I wouldn't do that. You know what I'd do? I would try to find someone that just started vlogging, someone you've never heard of. Because they're going to come to it with an enthusiasm and a fresh approach that I'll never have. I had it once, 5-6 years ago. But now, kind of old and tired. And a lot of us are old and tired. I don't know if Bridger Across America represents an end or some sort of new beginning. I don't know if those of us who are skeptical about vlogging our future trips to Vegas will change our minds, or whether we'll go back to what is our own little peaceful time, or maybe not so peaceful time, in our favorite city. I just know one thing about the Vegas community, and that is it's given me some of my very best friends. I know people from all across the globe, across the US, Canada, the UK in particular. And those people have provided me with a lot of personal pleasure. They're people that I've gotten to know, and people that have, I guess, sort of validated my own sort of personal Vegas insanity. Going forward, you know what I hope? I hope that I continue to meet more of those people, that I continue to have an opportunity to connect with those folks in Vegas and even when we're not in Vegas. That we will continue to share in each other's tragedies and triumphs, that we'll continue to support each other. And that may not look the same as it did in 2018 or 2021 as it does today, but I think it's going to continue to be a thing. And I do believe that this Vegas community, even though it's become much more splintered and much more diverse, you might say, I believe the state of the community in 2023 is very strong. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, with another one of our resort reviews. We'll be back next Saturday with another episode of Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. Until then, I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week, and I hope I get my hair cut. It's getting out of hand. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.